Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. All I do here is answer ESL questions from free online resources. So the questions today are going to be from the ESL.com website. I go by alphabetical order, so the topic that I chose today was E. The letter that I went for today was E, so the topic is going to be English. Question 1. What images are in your mind when you hear the word English? Well, when I think about the English language, I'm thinking about the Queen of England, the late Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth. And I think for many people, when they think about the English, they think about the English people, like the British. So I'm thinking about that. I'm also thinking about my English teachers over the years from when I was in elementary school to high school. So that was really, really interesting. I had a really good experience with my teachers. Libraries also come to my mind because I spent a lot of time in libraries. And I know a lot of people hate libraries because they see the people who go to libraries as people who are trying too hard. But this is not always the case. You know, there are people in there reading about fairies, reading about World War II, or reading about astronomy, reading about rocket science. Well, some people are just in there just kind of catching up with a newspaper for free. So, yeah, I'm thinking about libraries as well. Question 2. Why are you studying English? Well, I think there are a lot of good reasons to study English. So, first and foremost, I think the workplace has completely transformed in a lot of different countries. And for me, as a finance and language professional, I definitely use the English language for my work. Not only is the company intranet in English, I also need to do a lot of research online in the same language, and I need to communicate with my clients and my employers as well. So I think it's become a very, very integral part of everyday working life. So I think, other than professional reasons, I also travel a lot, and it's always a good thing when you're able to like ask for help, say hello to someone, smile. I think it's always a good thing to just interact with people in the country you visit. So I feel like English is becoming that language that you find people speaking in the remotest part of the world. So yeah, I think it's a good step in getting to know people and try to socialize with them. Question 3. What adjectives describe your feelings about English? Well, first of all, hard. English is a really wonderful language, but I feel like it's the hardest language to learn. So if we start thinking about accents, for example, so there are so many varieties of English. So we have American English, British English, the English in Scotland, the English in Ireland, the English in India, for example. I feel like it's very difficult for people who want to learn English because they don't know which variety of English they should study. And I know there are a lot of different debates online, like English is the same everywhere, but the vocabulary is very different from place to place. So I see that a lot of people don't really appreciate that the vocabulary is what makes the language. Like, there are some things that you can say in the UK that would be completely absurd to say in the States, and people would be like, oh, what did you say? Yeah, I think English is a very, very hard language to learn, but I feel like if people want to learn, the first step is choosing a variety and kind of sticking to it. I would think English is hard. Also, I think English is a very interesting language to learn because of the available resources that we have online at the moment. So, for example, I'm answering all these questions from a free website, and I can just go through these questions without paying. So it's really, really interesting. Also, with English, it's a very conversational language, and you can't really speak English without actually practicing it. So I feel like with the interaction, you get to meet a lot of people, you get to make a lot of friends, you get to speak about different topics, and you also get to read about a lot of different topics because, again, there are a lot of different and interesting materials that have been published in English, and all of these are available in free libraries around the world. So that's a really, really nice thing, and I think studying English is very, very interesting. Question 4. How much time and money have you spent on English? well. So when it comes to time, I have spent my whole life trying to perfect my language, and I'm today years old and I'm still trying to perfect the language. So I feel like it's a really, really good thing to try to practice English. I feel like it's a lifelong journey. I feel like there shouldn't be a rush. So here I am. With regards to how much money I have spent on learning English, well, I would say I have spent a significant amount of money buying books, getting subscriptions for things like Audible and so on. And I think it's been well worth it. I can't say that buying books is really expensive. It is not. But it's just like the volume of books that I've collected over the years, especially digital books, it's been quite interesting. At the moment, I'm actually reading a book from the 1860s. It's called The Wedding Dress Sewing Circle. It's about a group of British women that had to leave their boutiques in London to go and volunteer their skills. So it just follows this journey of these women getting recruited into these camps, and the first thing they realize they have to do is like shave their heads completely bald. So it's a really, really interesting book. So I actually got this book in New York at the Strand bookshop. It was on sale. I think I got it for like, I don't know, $6 or something like that. So I never miss a chance to get a book. So I really like this. Question 5. How happy are you with your English level? Well, I am very happy with my English level, and it is primarily because I'm very, very much interested in old English, like books set in the 1800s. And I feel like at this time they had a lot of time to kind of compose their thoughts. So they're not really speaking in short form. If you look at the books from this time period, they're very dense, they're very bulky, very, very thick books, because they had a way of communicating, and it's very old English, and for me I feel like I'm able to understand this, so it's very, very nice for me. I like it. So I would say that I'm very happy with my English level. With regards to like listening to material, I can listen to anything I want. I'm really big on self-development and just going on a spiritual journey, and I've been able to find a lot of resources online that help me and guide me, and just being able to read between the lines to kind of get the message that the person's trying to send across has been really fulfilling for me, and I would just credit this with how comfortable I am with my English language. Question 6. Has English improved your life? Well, I would say yes, it has. So I'm a working professional and I do use English in my daily life because I'm able to serve people and also get compensated. I would say that it definitely improves the quality of my life. I also travel quite a lot, and being able to speak to the people that I find in the different country is really important to me. So I would say that I feel like my experience is more enriched if I interact with a local. So I would say my English has enriched my life in that way as well. Also, I'm into self development, so there's always something exciting to read in that. I really enjoy the horoscope as well, astrology, and a lot of other really interesting topics. The most exciting thing is that a lot of these things were from a time gone, a time past, and there have been some really incredible people that have put these in plain English for us to read and to understand and to kind of walk the journey with them. So, yeah, I would say, English has definitely improved the quality of my life. Question 7. Do you wish you didn't have to study English? Well, not really, because I've always been good at it. I've always been willing to practice it. I've always been willing to do my homework. So there was not a time that I wished that I was not going to study English. Also, I used to really get good grades in English, so that would boost my overall score. Yeah, so I never really wished that I wasn't able to speak English. Absolutely not. Also, because I was able to speak well and like do well in tests, I feel like I became like a teacher's pet for all of my English classes, especially when I was in high school. And it was really interesting to get assigned these really interesting essay projects that I had to write that was so interesting, and I would get all this feedback from my teachers. So no, I don't think I've wished not to have been able to study English. Question 8. What is your best piece of advice to study English? Well, I think there are a lot of really interesting videos online about this, but something that sticks with me is definitely consistency. So there's no rush in studying English. English is a journey. And if you appreciate how hard it is to learn, then you're going to try to put a proportional amount of effort to acquire the skill. So consistency is important, just trying to be consistent until you're kind of comfortable with your English level. That would be a really good thing. The other thing was trying to recognize what your goals are for the language. For example, so if you're going to speak English in your country, then you don't really need to worry a lot. You can slack off, because you have your native language to kind of substitute for your deficiencies. But if you're going to be performing your language for native English speakers who do not speak another language, chances are that you might want to put a proportional amount of effort. So, like, when you realize this, there's not going to be time for, oh, I'm so shy to speak English, or I don't want to practice today. It's very, very high stakes, especially if you're now working in an international team with a lot of different cultures represented, first of all, and your working language is English. So I feel like if you're slacking around, then you're kind of hurting your chances. So I would say, like, learning English all depends on what your goals are for the language. The last tip I would say is just for the person to try to master grammar, because it's a good place to start. I have seen a lot of people be very, very comfortable with bad grammar, because it's not very central to, you can string together 3 vocabulary words and the person would understand what you're trying to say. But if you really want to, like, level up your English, I think it's imperative for the person to kind of learn grammar. And I see some people trying to take a shortcut here, and they would go into, like, a conversation with a teacher and ask them, hey, correct me on the spot. So let's just give an example. So if the person says in their normal way of speaking, his is my sister instead of he is my sister, so it tells you that the person has not understood what the difference between his, him, he are. So this person does not need you to interject and correct them. This person needs to sit down and do a revision of that, like with a book. And now it's really easy because you can study grammar online. And I don't know why people are not jumping on this. It's so easy just studying online. You don't even have to write down, just have to copy and paste and just follow the concept. Learning grammar is a really, really good place to start. Question 9, have all of your English teachers been good? Yes, they have all been really, really good, really, really wonderful. I don't know about you, but I have always had these wonderful English teachers that were really beautiful and feminine and soft. And I remember the last teacher that I had, she was my she was my high school teacher in my last year of high school. And she was so beautiful and very soft spoken. And I remember she told me, like, if I got a straight A in my final test, she would give me a gift. I definitely got my gift, so I still remember her. Question 10, how would your life be different without English? Well, I think it would be significantly different because I would probably be speaking another language. I would probably not be qualified in the things that I'm qualified in now because I would be speaking a completely different language. So I think my life would be completely different. I'm not saying it would be good or bad. I'm just saying it would be completely different. So I would have probably specialized in something else. It's very, very hard to imagine. And, if I was still myself, I would kind of find my way to learning English and definitely get to learn it. So, yeah, I think there are things in this world that are meant to be, absolutely. All right, guys, so that is it for today. Bye.